Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. Last night someone broke into my house and stole a dozen eggs. All they left was a saucepan full of warm water. The police think it's poachers. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Zombicide White Death from CMON.
My zombie girl claws her way up through the soil. She wants me bad, but I know that she'll stay loyal. She wants a kiss, leans in like this, then bites off my lower lip. She's in my heart, but wants in my head. I'm in love with the living dead. She's one of the dead. She's one of the dead. She's one of the dead. I'm in love with the dead. Her teeth start to rot, but I think her body's still smoking hot. Yeah, she lost some weight. I'm not shallow, but I think it's great.
Zombicide White Death from CMON is the latest iteration of your Zombicide game system. Now, the basics here, of course, haven't changed that much. This is part of the kind of the fantasy side of Zombicide. I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of how Zombicide plays. I've got a lot of videos on Zombicide up here because I love the game system. So what I'm going to discuss here are some of the major differences with this system and then tell you my thoughts. Let's go ahead and get zombified. Now, one of the first things you're going to know about this game is it's got walls. Now, this is something that is kind of new because it almost adds a bit of an area defense element to Zombicide, though I wouldn't just say it is specifically kind of an area defense or tower defense, right? But what you can do is you have walls frequently, and walls allow you to essentially keep the bad guys out. All things being equal, they can't get over the walls. However, certain game effects will allow them to move over the walls or sometimes even through the walls, and I'll kind of get into that. But essentially here, again, there are some changes that kind of more align to some of the more recent Zombicide titles. Now, one of the changes is if you run out of the zombie minis of the appropriate type, instead of that appropriate type getting an extra activation, you would spawn an abomination. And then, of course, that abomination would get an extra action if he's already on the board. Now, on the wall, you will also have, in many of the scenarios, you will have kind of cauldrons. And you can dump the cauldrons over the side, and it eliminates everybody in that zone, all the actors in that zone. So you don't want your guys in there. It's not terribly dissimilar from putting a torch and dragon bile together, kind of like the way you used to make Molotov cocktails in the original, right? So the walls too have specific stairways that you can access, and if you want to go down on the far side of the wall, you actually have to drop a rope ladder. Sometimes they're there, and you can use those rope ladders to move back and forth in that section. What that means is it kind of creates choke points where you have to go through to get to the other side of the wall, and in several of the scenarios, you will have to go to the other side of the wall for various reasons. Now, you also have in this scenario corruption. Now, generally, all the starting spawn zones will have one corruption tile. And what's going to happen is it will spread throughout the game. So what you're going to do is if you draw the Necromancer card, then you're going to place the Necromancer, the Defiler Necromancer, wherever you spawned him. And from that point forward, he will actually, when he activates, he won't move forward, he'll stay there, but you will actually put a Defiler spawn zone where he is, and you will advance the corruption. You'll put a new corruption tile out, and the original spawn zone will actually advance with that new corruption. So it will actually change the location of spawn zones as that corruption advances. Critically, too, the corruption will destroy everything in its path, including the wall, so it can create breaches in the wall. Now, another big innovation we see here with Zombicide White Death are guards. Now, in most scenarios, you're going to start with guards, usually about 12 guards on the board. And guards are important because you can actually use them. They're friends. Every survivor, once per turn, can spend one of their actions to activate the guards. Now, the guards will activate as a group. You can move, up to 4 guards or however many guards are in a space from one location to another. or you can also use them to attack. They can attack in their space. They've also got a range 1 weapon. They can attack into their adjacent space. So you can go ahead, you can each activate any guards on the board, any group of guards on the board once. Like I say, if you attack, you're going to go ahead and roll as many dice as you have guards in that section, and hopefully you're going to get all the hits you can stand. Now, if you want to manipulate those cauldrons, as I mentioned earlier, that actually takes 3 actions for one of your survivors to push a cauldron over the side of the wall. However, you actually have to have 3 guards in a location with a cauldron in order to dump those over the side as well. Now, each character has in their blue section a guard skill, a special skill that maybe makes their guards have an extra range or deal extra damage, or just some funky little extra thing that only that character can do when they are manipulating the guards. Critically, the Necromancer is trying to advance the corruption to a beacon. Every scenario, you place the beacon somewhere on the board. If ever the corruption ever reaches the beacon, game over. Now, there's some other things going on here. For instance, the priority targeting is a little bit different than what you've seen before. You actually have a freeze spell that can actually put down a freeze token, which means that zombies in that location will not activate that turn. You simply remove the freeze token. So there's a lot of other little bells and whistles going on here in Zombicide White Death as well. But you and your friends are going to go through the various scenarios. You're going to attempt to defend the walls. You're going to attempt to find special items. You're going to go ahead and get the special objectives on the map. But most importantly, you are trying to kill zombies. If you can succeed in fulfilling the specific scenario objectives, then you win! Zombicide White Death. We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. Okay, so before I begin, let me just say that the good people at Asmodee and CMON sent me pretty much most of the expansions to this game. I believe all of them except for the Kickstarter exclusives and stuff. But they sent me all the expansions that will be available in retail. And I played them all. In fact, Ray and I and some of our friends, we've been playing a ton of Zombicide White Death. A lot of Zombicide White Death in the last few weeks. This game, because I of course I wanted to do the reviews, but I'm always excited to see what the expansions bring to the review. Now, I'll be covering what the expansions bring in subsequent videos, so I'll be doing a video for each of the expansions, so you can check those out. But right now, I just want to talk about the core game. Well, first of all, I love Zombicide, right? I'm a huge Zombicide fan. It's one of my favorite games of all time. I just love it so much. It's not a deeply complex game, but it's fun. It's probably my favorite cooperative game of all time. And it's a fun game to play solo as well. I really, really love Zombicide. So the things that this game brings to the table, I generally enjoy, okay? The thing I think more than anything else that I like about White Death is the guards. It's so cool because sometimes the guards themselves are objectives. You can't let the guards die, or you got to manipulate the guards and stuff. But it's so nice to have an extra action because there's a lot of times in Zombicide, you got 3 actions or 4 actions, and you just can't do what you want to do. Either you don't want to expose yourself to unnecessary danger, or there's just nothing to do where you are. So sometimes you just kind of give up an action. And what's cool here is with the guards, then there's very often, more often than not, there's something you can do with the guards, even if it's just moving them to a more advantageous location. I really like that. I think that really does something fun and new and interesting with Zombicide there. I really like that aspect of the game quite a bit. I think the wall is fun. It's different. It's something that's a little unusual here. And I like the fact that when you're on the wall, you've got the cauldrons, but it's hard to use them. Like I say, if you're there, you have to spend all 3 of your actions to tip a cauldron over, or you have to have 3 of the guards in one of those spaces to tip the cauldron over. That's tough. And I got to tell you, I really like the Defiler necromancers. It's a bit unusual because remember the necromancers in like Black Plague, they would actually walk all the way. And here they are just sending the corruption, and it's really fun. It's really fun to see the board change like that, and with the necromancer actually just staying there, and you have to get to the necromancer through the corruption to end it. I really like it, especially because I'll tell you, we lost a lot of the games because the corruption got to the beacon. But this brings to mind Zombicide Invader, because Zombicide Invader had something similar. I think it was a corruption, but I could be mistaken. But you would put these tiles there. And when I played Zombicide Invader, I wasn't wild about it. I thought it was okay, but it didn't thrill me. I don't know what it is. I like it a lot better here. I think it just works a lot better here. So I was very excited about that in this case. And I should point out, too, you can play some of the other like Black Plague sets with this one. There are actually guard skill cards that you can like randomly distribute to players. So they'll have a guard skill, even if they're not from this box. So that's nice, and it's a way to integrate other characters into this game. I think that is pretty cool and pretty well done here as well. So needless to say, I really like Zombicide White Death. However, I will say that kind of when Black Plague came out, for a while that was my favorite edition of Zombicide. But then I played others, and I kind of stopped playing Black Plague as much, and I kind of came to the conclusion Black Plague was not my favorite. I love it, but it was not my favorite. And I kind of feel the same way about White Death. The aesthetic here, the idea of you're kind of in the Far East, is cool, but there are other editions, both mechanically and thematically, that I enjoy more. And I think at some point, maybe after Deceased comes out, I'll do like a top 10 Zombicide core boxes or something like that. We'll see. But I like this game, but I would say if you're looking to get started in Zombicide, I don't know that this is the one I'd start with. There's a lot of things, too, in this set that basic Zombicide has, like it doesn't have doors, so it doesn't have people spawning inside buildings and stuff, which to me is a lot of fun. And I kind of miss that here, not a lot, but I did notice it, and I'm like, that's something I did like from some of the other editions. What I'm saying is, this is a great game. It's probably not my favorite. I think if you do like Black Death, this is a must. Black Plague, this is a must. I think you will really enjoy seeing this kind of expand your Zombicide Black Death system, Black Plague system. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give it a 7 on the Cody scale, 7 out of 10. I think it's a really fun game. I really enjoy it. I probably wouldn't start here if you're new to Zombicide. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, we'd ask you to please go ahead and leave a comment for us here on this video on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on Facebook, on Twitter. We would ask you to please like this video and please subscribe to our channel. That means a lot. Please also give a thumb to this video on Board Game Geek. Now, if you do like this channel, I would urge you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, military history, books on history. I post some of my lectures on there, so please subscribe to that channel as well. It would mean the world to me. Now, also, too, if you do like what you see here, please consider clicking on the Super Thanks button and leaving a tip. My friend called me the other night, and he said an evil wizard turned him into a tiny harp. But he's a big damn liar.
She doesn't nag, and she don't complain, and she's way into my brains. She's one of the dead, she's one of the dead, she's one of the dead, I'm in love with the dead. She's one of the dead, she's one of the dead, she's one of the dead.
Very excited, because today we're going to take a look at the board game that is based on my very own autobiography, Cody Dazzle Me! Now, this game was originally created...
No, let's do Zombicide!
Sean, I think the people really want to see...
Come on! Zombicide! Let's do Zombicide!
Sean, can we do this another time? Because,
You know what? We're doing Zombicide.